Hello everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. The topic of the day is the new e.l.f. Camo Powder Foundation. This is just one of those products that when you see it come out, you number one, know you need to buy it, and number two, you know you need to review it. That's just the way it stands in my mind. I figured for as interested as I was in this product, many of you would be into it as well. So powder foundation, yeah, the way the compact is, nice clean light compact. Here's your pan of product. There is a little sponge underneath, and I'm wearing this in the shade Light 210N. Actually, I'm not wearing it yet. I'm going to show you that application, but I thought I'd chat about just some of the claims here. They call it a primer-infused pressed powder foundation that delivers buildable coverage and an airbrushed finish. This is $11 on e.l.f.'s website, and they call it a long-wear formula. They say it's a buildable medium to full coverage semi-matte finish, talc-free and non-comedogenic, available in 30 shades, and they claim that it pairs well with the rest of the Camo collection. So I've been playing with this in a few different ways over the past several days. I've tried it just on its own, like paired with the concealer, and making this my number one and kind of only all over the face coverage step. And I've also used it over top of like a lighter weight tinted moisturizer type of product, and then seeing how this kind of adds to the coverage and perfects it. I've been looking at its staying power all day, and it's really been good in all of these different methods. I've been really impressed. Granted, I haven't been going around sweating a whole lot, but I have cried a little bit the last couple days. We've had some real frustrating times with Bubba and his sleeping, waking up super early, having trouble at nap time. Like, it's just been so frustrating, and I gotta say this has still hung on. More reliable than a 2-year-old's nap time. And a little later in the video after the demo, I'm also going to talk about my comparison of this to what I guess I would call the leading drugstore powder foundation. But like I said, I really thought this did well. It looked absolutely beautiful on top of an actually glowy tinted moisturizer type product. The other day I was just randomly using my Huda Glowish Multi-Dew Skin Tint. I wear that in 03 Light. I had that on all over. I also put on concealer. I set the concealer, and then I used this, just kind of dabbed it all over the rest of the skin, and it looked so pretty. I loved how it made my skin look more perfected, but yet I could still get some glow through it. That's kind of the thing about this. It's not quite as matte seeming, not quite as zhunk, like flatten out the skin, as some other powder foundations I've tried. That being said, the texture of it is incredibly soft. Like when you put a brush into this, there is quite a bit of powdery kick up, okay? It's super soft, and when you touch it, you're just like, wow, this is gonna be coverage galore. And it does add coverage, but it's like, it doesn't look dry and cakey and flat on me, and hasn't in either of the ways I've tried it. But today I wanna put it on for you minus something like this, so you can see more purely how this works alongside just a concealer. So I've got my skin all prepped. I'm not using any primers because I just don't wanna have another factor, you know, at play here for you to have to worry about. But I am going to go in with concealer first. So it's going to go concealer, and then I'm going to set the concealer with something even lighter than this, more like translucent powder, and then this will be the thing that goes all over the rest of the skin. So we're just going to use Hydrating Camo Concealer in Light Peach, and I'm just going to give myself some in the inner corner, some right out here, a little around the nose. You know, just pretty much those same areas where I would go on top of foundation applying this. I'm putting it in the usual spots, and I've got this Real Techniques kind of like highlighter brush that I like to use. It's just a really good shape for concealer. And I'm going to get that all blended in, because it just wouldn't really make sense to me to go on top of my powder foundation with a whole bunch of concealer. You know, this is the logical sequence of events for powder foundations for me. There we are with just that concealer all blended in. Not a bad look, huh? Then I'm just gonna set that with some translucent powder. I'm gonna stay with e.l.f.'s line for this. I'm just gonna use the Perfect Finish HD powder. And this is just one of those white translucent powders that I can kind of count on for not dulling down this area at all. My all over powder shade is very much like skin tone match, and I don't want that to come all the way up to the under eye. You wouldn't absolutely have to do this step, but it's just the way I like to handle it. Now, a big thing to note with powder foundations when we're talking how much coverage can you achieve? Well, how much powder do you want to put on? You know, you can get a thicker application of the powder if you use the provided sponge or some other sponge that you have, you know, and you really like just pick it up and paint it on the skin. You can get a lot of coverage that way. As much as I love incorporating powder into my makeup, I really generally don't use that much of it. Like the amount applied to the skin is not that much because I know my skin looks better with a lighter amount of powder on it. So therefore, maybe I'm not willing to let this powder take me to the biggest, fullest coverage place possible, and somebody else might lay it on thicker. But you know, that's why reviews are interesting, because they come from individual people with certain preferences and certain skin. So this is just the way I like to do it. I'm taking the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, and I'm going to go into the product. And the one gripe, you know, I don't love that with a gentle brush stroke in, you kick up a lot of powder. Like, I love that it's a soft powder and all, but dang, like it really kicks up a lot. However, I love the way it looks as it goes on the skin. I do see that medium buildable coverage. I'm just kind of buffing it in, kind of a buff and press, because I don't want that powder just sitting on the skin. I want it more so like worked in. And I feel like it's definitely, from this side, just looking at freckles and stuff, like I can tell it has covered up a lot, like the fuller side of medium coverage, even with this method. But the interesting thing that I also noticed, like I said the other day, is it can let some glow show through. I wore a decent amount of this powder the other day on top of a glowy tinted moisturizer, and the look was still so pretty. Like, it didn't completely blank out all radiance. So I see what they mean when they call it a semi-matte finish on this. I'm feeling pretty matte right now, yet it still doesn't look unnatural. And kind of a blending, buffing, and also pressing motion. Pressing mainly over any area where concealer was applied. Okay, check me out. Like, the skin is looking so incredibly even. Even wearing it without pairing it with any other product like this, it still had some really nice all day wear on me, I've gotta say. Like, I was really paying attention to it. So that, my friends, is my face routine with this product. Again, it began with, I didn't use any special primer. I just had my skin prepped with moisturizer and sunscreen, the things I usually do. And then we went in with hydrating Camo Concealer, set it with a translucent powder on the under eye, and then used this all over the rest of the skin. And now I'm just going to go ahead and finish my look off with bronzer, blush, highlight, do the eyes, do the lips. I'll come back on, I'll kind of wrap up my review and also talk comparisons for you. All right, my friends, so here is my finished look. I'll quickly run through what else I put on my face. I used my Ulta Baked Sculpt and Glow in Santorini Sun, so that's the bronzer, blush, and highlight. That's all on my skin. On the eyes, I'm wearing my e.l.f. Bite Size Quad in Cream and Sugar, just a real basic kind of neutral look there. I'm wearing Makeup Geek eyeliner in Espresso all across the upper lash line, super smooth and creamy, and just real easy to throw on, kind of deepen up my lash line a bit. And then I've got on Superhero Mascara from IT Cosmetics. And on the lips, I'm wearing my Milani Matte Lipstick in Secret. This was from that initial like neutral range of mattes, and then I layered kind of around the outside, like sort of blended with it. I used Live on the Edge from the Superstay Matte Ink Crayon line. So as you can see, this powder foundation applied and like kind of fully finished with the look, I don't feel like I have anything less, you know, going on the skin compared to my liquid foundations. I would say overall my skin, to touch it, everything feels more lightweight, right? It feels like less is on there, but appearance wise, I don't feel like I've sacrificed anything, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I feel like I missed a little spot right in here, so I'm just gonna fix that. But yeah, this is a powder foundation that I really feel can hold its own just paired with concealer, but I also have loved the look of it on top of something that's, you know, a little bit more lightweight, and you're like, maybe I'd like to add a little bit of coverage. I suspect this would be beautiful on top of like the Wet n Wild Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator. There are so many different lightweight products that could benefit from just a little extra coverage, or maybe you just want to be a little more mattified in certain areas. I think this plays place well with others. That's my point. Or if you have like just a lightweight foundation and you're like, I want to alter that a little bit. I want to use this as pressed powder. It's all in the application with a powder foundation. There's a range of outcomes, okay? If you choose to bop into it with maybe like this kind of fuller brush, this is my BK Beauty 107. You know, this is the same thing I use for bronzer. And if I wanted to lightly apply this powder all over, you know, you can keep it light, or you use something more dense like I use today, you're going to get more coverage out of it. And beyond that, if you wanted to pop a sponge into this and just like you would probably take this immediately to its fullest coverage place. Okay, so range of outcomes with powder foundations, and that's not really unique to this. Like, that's just kind of the way they are. It's how do you want to apply it? How heavy do you want to get it on there? For me, this is kind of a sweet spot because I feel like I didn't have to apply a ton of powder, but I'm still benefiting from the coverage it can provide. Okay, now what I would say is maybe the leading powder foundation out there, one that a lot of people love, is the L'Oreal Infallible Freshware 24-hour full matte coverage waterproof powder foundation. I have it in true beige. I would say a difference that I see in these is when I put a brush in, something I do like about this L'Oreal one is that it just doesn't kick up as much dust. You know, you saw what happened when I put my brush into the e.l.f. and if I put a brush into this one, it just, you know, it might kick up a little bit, but it's not quite as soft, and I feel like this is more just immediately matte. This is just my opinion, and again, I think both could kind of build to a similar place, but I don't think I could get away with putting this all over this, you know, this glowy tinted moisturizer and still come out with as much glow as I do when I put this on. To me, I think the finish of this is actually just a little bit softer, a little bit more, as they described it, semi-matte, and maybe it's the softness of the powder too. Maybe the fact that you put a brush in and all that powder kind of kicks up and it's not maybe quite as firmly pressed, maybe then you're getting a little bit lighter look on the skin as you buff it, you know. But I feel like this lends itself to a more immediately full matte look, whereas this one, maybe you're gonna build a little bit more to get to that place. I think both are good quality powder foundation options. If I were to pick one over the other, I'm veering a little bit more toward e.l.f. just because I've witnessed it having surprisingly good staying power on me, and I really just like the look of it. Worn on its own, layered with other things, I feel like it kind of masters that place for me of coverage, but I don't feel like I have to apply a ton of it to make it look good. Sorry, I feel kind of disorganized in my thoughts right now, like I'm kind of just talking in circles, but I just think an important thing to know about powder foundation in general is that you're controlling the outcome. You can choose to cake this stuff on. You can choose to put it on so thick that you come away saying, ugh, I don't like that powder foundation, it's cakey, when really it was all in your choice of how much you put on. And if you can put it on lighter, if you can do kind of like a buffing and then pressing motion, and then I might come away saying, well, that wasn't totally full coverage, and then somebody else would be over here saying, but it can be full coverage. Well, I didn't want to put that much powder on my face, okay? So I'm wearing it in the way that works for me, that looks best on my skin. And again, I think it pairs well with other more glowy products and lets their glow definitely shine through. With the semi-light manner I choose to apply that with, I'm not like streaking it on with the sponge. But yeah, guys, I would love to hear your feedback in the comments section. If you have tried this product, what has your experience been like? How would you compare it to other powder foundations you've used? And how do you feel like it's working for you? I am a normal to dry skin type, and I feel like I can wear this all day and be really, really satisfied with my look. And that's kind of amazing to me, because I think I'm a little more fascinated when a powder foundation actually wears well compared to a liquid foundation. It's just like a different mental standard that we put it to. So I've been enjoying it, my friends. Thank you so much for taking time to watch today, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.